Hi, and welcome to Cover Brand, where we cover all things branding, marketing, and advertising to help you understand what the hell branding is and how it works to grow your business. Welcome and welcome back. I'm Ethan Decker, as many of you already know. Today I have Carl Roose with me. Carl, what's going on?
Not too much. This is likely entering the matrix because I'm a big fan of the podcast, and now being on the other side of the mic, it's a surreal and very cool experience. So
Super fun. One thing nobody knows about us is we go back, 40 years probably.
I was doing the math this morning, and I stopped there about 40.
Yeah.
No need to go back any farther.
Carl and I met when I was at Oberlin College, and Carl's mother worked in the administration,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to Quaker Meeting. Did we meet through Quaker Meeting? That's
Yeah, I think ish, as
ish.
much as sort of anything. Yeah, I
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
taken
You
along.
and you were just a little runt.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you and your brother, Kevin, who's got quite a thing going over at the New York Times,
even
Kevin
more of a
Roose.
run as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah. Kevin Roose is the famous one, but you're the handsome one.
Oh, that shucks. That rebranding I haven't heard. That's great. I love that.
All right. All right. Run with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, make it true.
Yes, for sure.
So yes, Carl and I go way, way back, and it's been fun to maintain our friendship over all these decades. But today we're going to talk. Well, obviously we're going to cover brands, but first we're going to cover bands. Let's talk about a cover song that you were thinking of.
So this one harkens back to you and I have always had music as a thread in our relationship, and you've
Yeah,
introduced me to so much amazing music over the years and given me hints and whispered in my ears and maybe mixtapes. And if you go back long enough, and so
I
you're
was
like,
like a pseudo older brother, I guess.
yeah, it really had. I had
Cousin.
a brother who's an audiophile and really into new in the music scene. You were it. You're basically as close as I ever got. And
Do you still
so
have any of the mixtapes I gave you?
I do somewhere, and I think one of them I actually digitized. I think I digitized one of them and would have to find which.
Oh my God. Okay. I would love to see those and hear whatever the hell those mixes were. That would be really fun.
Others I've tried to recreate with the Spotify versions, just recreate the track list.
Oh, great. Oh, great.
So
Okay.
that's even easier.
We'll do
But
that some other episode.
one of the people that I called you one time, I literally called you and said, Ethan, what have you been? I don't know if you remember this. This is a few years ago now. Is what have you been listening to recently? I just need some music recommendations. And one of the people you mentioned, among many others, and I had sort of a nascent interest in jazz as I approached middle age, and that's one of my favorite genres. Now you had
Let's
mentioned
do.
Brad Meldau, the prominent jazz pianist,
Yes.
and whose work I now love. And one of my other friends who grew up a Beatlemaniac just down the street, actually,
Uh-huh.
and like his father before him, um, loves Blackbird more than any other song. And he, I think, was the one who sent me Brad Meldau's rendition of Blackbird, which is, so I don't know if you consider jazz renditions really covers exactly, but
Oh, yes.
it's super. I mean, to hear something that interpretive by such musicians, I would love a good jazz cover.
Absolutely. No. A good jazz rendition of a song is 100% a cover.
Mm.
I think when you go way, way, way back to the era of either standards or pre-recorded music,
Mm-hmm,
I think
mm-hmm.
it's a little different
Yeah,
because then it's not a cover, it's a version,
that's a really good
because
point.
the original is the written sheet music,
Sure,
so to
right.
speak.
There's nothing to
Um,
cover in
there's
Stephen
not
McCartney.
really
Sure.
an original recording to cover,
Right.
but in this case, this is 100% a cover. Brad Meldau, Mehdau,
I think that's right.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, he's a jazz musician. I think he's American. He's still touring, and if you can see him, people should go see him. His beautiful piano jazz cover of Blackbird is just exquisite.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad. Yeah, you've heard it. It's a little bit of a deep cut if you're outside sort of jazz listenership, but it's so easy, good, and easy to appreciate and approachable. Like the best jazz is approachable.
yes, yes, enjoyable. There's some complex parts in the middle that it builds up a bit during kind of crescendos, but then it comes back down.
Mhm.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Good call on the cover song, Carl.
Hey, you like learn from the best. What can I say?
Well, that's a great cut. Great song.
It is.
Let's talk brands.
Okay.
What's the situation with you these days?
Well, as you know, most of my time these days is spent doing AI full time because I have
Mhm.
my own AI consultancy. And so that amounts to helping organizations and businesses, sometimes individuals, teams of all kinds, sort of figure out how to adopt AI and use the stuff well, effectively, responsibly, efficiently, point them in the right
Mhm.
directions, point them away from the wrong directions, etc.
Right. What's the name of that company?
Yes, my consultancy is called MindTeam, MindTeam, one word,
And
.ai,
is it
which is
mindteam.ai?
.ai. Yes,
There you go.
MindTeam.ai.
Okay.
Only because .com is taken by this Italian blogger who like doesn't really even use. I don't know. It's. We've had an ongoing. I'm trying to get get him
URLs.
interested into
URLs. It's a
what are you
whole
gonna do?
thing.
Yeah. So or I got to figure out what else it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How long
Mind
have you been doing this?
about 2 years now, since
Okay.
2023. So from about the time that I first encountered ChatGPT, which at the time I was a full time designer, visual designer, design director, graphic designer for
Mhm.
years and years. But yes, so I didn't see this coming. But when I saw ChatGPT, I basically just couldn't look away, never did look away, and realized
Right.
that this was sort of my new calling, and a really
Nice.
exciting thing that was about to happen to everybody, but me first. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that started the. Then I went out on my own a couple of years ago and start doing it full time.
Got it. I think compared to some other bubbles like blockchain
Mhm.
or even Bitcoin is still such a speculative bubble.
Oh yeah.
Um, but AI is more like I think the days of the early World Wide Web,
Hmm.
which is the boosters are saying this is going to change everything, and the naysayers are like web isn't going to change anything.
Hmm.
It's just for defense contractors to send data to each other, and
Right.
it's a toy.
Hmm.
But I think it's going to become a lot more than a toy, just like the World Wide Web did.
Right. And just like we now don't no longer say, really, you don't really need to say you uh, bought something online. I mean, you could say it. People still do say it, but
Right.
say you bought it or you got it from Amazon, and sort of that's the layer of things that goes without saying, or
Mhm.
that you met somebody online. It's like online dating is barely even like dating is a lot is
Correct.
online dating. So it sort of feels like it's destined to become this. We may not even be talking explicitly that much about AI in the way that we do now because it's sort of new on the block.
Right. AI will just be what we think software is or
Right.
services are.
So
Yeah.
AI consulting will become consulting at a certain point. But
Correct.
for now, it's
As
still
digital marketing should just be marketing.
precisely, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
great analogy. Yeah, so that's where it stands now.
Mhm.
And so I come to you as a branding guru, um, because one of the things, among the many other things that clients ask for my help with, often, it's it's across the board. It's as you can imagine, anything that you can do from behind a keyboard, AI can basically do, and often very well, and
True.
better and better
True.
and better each month. It seems like. So one of the natural things, the sort of the low hanging fruit, as they sometimes describe it, is these just marketing functions. These things like using AI to help get a social calendar, social media posts all created, written,
Right.
scheduled, adapted for different platforms, and all the while, one of the things I can help them do is stay sounding like themselves, like
Right.
coach them through the process by which everybody kind of knows they need to sound like themselves, but it's so easy to get it to sound really great, even if it's kind of better than what you already sounded like.
This is like Grammarly on steroids, right? That
Precisely.
you can have AI draft your emails out, but it doesn't sound like you. Whether
Right.
whether that's because you're a sole proprietor or an individual who's running a very small, I don't know, financial management company, let's
Hmm.
say, or whether you're a local heating and HVAC company
Right.
and you've got a brand and you've got a bit of a brand image, and then you get the AI to draft your emails or your social media, and it doesn't sound like you at all,
Right. Precisely. And
right?
sometimes that's for, in a way it's for the better. Like say
If you
very few people get into auto repair because they love admin and the communication,
right,
email and stuff like that. So you could sort of understand how like some of the stuff that starts less polished, if it gets real well polished, all of a sudden because AI is can now enhance it and do a lot of the heavy lifting
right,
for you. That's sort of a double-edged sword because on one hand you don't sound like Ernie at the garage anymore. And
Right.
on the other hand, Ernie didn't never sounded all that great to begin with. Like he wasn't a pro at
Right.
emails,
I,
and
I
maybe even
love that.
language for that matter. Like so it's a
Yeah,
lot.
there's a funny phrase, be yourself, unless you're an asshole. In which case, be less yourself. Right?
Right. Write like
It's
yourself, unless your writing really sucks and is off-putting, in which case
correct.
hand over the wheel. Exactly.
Correct. Which is why then you get into this notion or the zone of building out a better brand,
Hmm.
which is to say be more polished, be more professional, be more of what you want and less of what's crappy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's often where I end up with people as part of the coaching process and the
sure.
techniques that you have to apply to sound sort of on one hand, the first step is kind of how do you get as close to the mark as you can for what you actually sound like. I think that's
Right.
a helpful step to aim for first. And then decide what distance there might be between what you actually sound like at your best and like how you might be able to make that even more effective and still
Mm,
retain something that is believably and authentically you. And that
mm.
gets very good. The big, loaded term of this whole thing is authenticity,
Ah,
uh, because
there it
we're
is, folks.
very quickly getting to the point where if you can use the proper techniques, it's very easy. Whether I'm sounding exactly like Carl Roose would sound if he typed out all these newsletters and social posts
Hmm.
today, say that I am able to get there or 95% of the way there tomorrow, which is
Right.
basically possible now. And then maybe I answer the question. Maybe I want to sound exactly like myself. Let's just say I figure I'm a great writer. And so I don't want to go any further than that.
Hmm.
Now, what does it mean, or where some people just get their first reaction is, and naturally you can sort of see where they're coming from, is this is all great because this is stuff I don't need to do anymore. It can do this heavy lifting very
Sure.
satisfactorily. Maybe I'm even using the best practice and I'm seeing everything before it goes out. So it's sort of Carl approved and
Hmm.
it's Carl sound alike. It's sort of my digital writing twin we've established. So like it's sort of authentic in a way you can kind of
Mm,
and it's sort of not in a way you can understand. And society has been grappling with this for so little time.
right.
I don't know where it's exactly we're going to land on it, but I
Yeah.
want to be able to coach people and prepare them for like what they may be excited about isn't necessarily going to be as, I don't know, convincing or good for their overall brand if we don't
Yep.
end up taking that sort of thing as authentic. So what does brand science kind of have to inform us or about where this might be headed or where people start? Because consumers are very savvy, consumers are very sophisticated, more so than people writing the newsletters for them, often giving them credit for it.
Mhm.
My clients.
So, what is authenticity,
Small
especially
question.
in an age of AI?
Right.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I love this question so much because I tend to hate the word authenticity in marketing.
Hmm.
Hate it with a passion
Right.
because there's nothing. Oh my God. The classic phrase is, of course, how do we craft a more authentic image?
Hmm.
Right? Which is the biggest paradox in the world.
Sure.
How can we spend months and months deliberating and pontificating and then crafting and chiseling and fine-tuning an authentic image? It just seems so
It's a
wrong,
huge oxymoron. Yeah.
so oxymoronic. So this is a great topic. And the AI piece is another layer, which we'll get into. Let's start with the science of authenticity. Um, which is kind of neat. I haven't ever really approached it fully from a scientific perspective, but it goes right back to the things I studied in grad school when I got my biology PhD. And one of the keys in evolution is how do you, as creatures evolve? We're going to go on a little journey, Carl, for
Yeah.
a second
Yeah.
here.
Please.
Um, how do creatures not get duped by each other?
Mm.
Because if creatures can dupe each other, they will. Like cheating is rife in nature in the animal kingdom just as much as in the world of humanity.
Mhm.
So for instance, there's a rattlesnake, and the western rattlesnake in America, the diamondback, has a big old rattle on its tail and it goes and that warns predators or warns big ungulates or animals that might step on it. Don't step on me. Don't tread on me. Right. This is literally where "don't tread on me" comes from.
Right.
Uh, because I will sting you and I have poisonous venom and you could die. So it's a warning. Well, there's another snake called the bull snake, which does not have poisonous venom. It does not even have a rattle on its tail, but it makes the rattling noise in its throat.
Whoa.
It copies it and tries to trick creatures into not eating it or stepping on it by pretending it's poisonous, like the Western diamondback rattlesnake is.
That's so wild.
It's pretty cool. It's only one of many, many examples of deception in nature. So then the question is, how do you know what's real and what's not? Now, one of those things is authenticity, or you could say the whole thing is about authenticity. It's about, is it really poisonous or not?
Mm-hmm.
So organisms have often an arms race between the faker and the dupe, the mark,
Mm-hmm.
right? The con and the mark,
Right.
the con man and the person they're gonna take advantage of. And so organisms are always looking for cues to figure out what's authentic and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a real rattle or not? Or in the case of elk, and I talked about this in a TED talk I did years ago. You can still find it online somewhere. Just look up Ethan Decker TED Talk, and you'll see it all. It's pretty fun. But
Cool.
elk, the bull elks, to attract cows, to attract females, will grow these huge antlers, and the antlers are hard to fake, right? Because it's like 40 pounds of bone that you
Right.
grow in 3 months. And the little juveniles who are trying to be cool and they do the big bugle sound, which I'm not at all going to try and replicate here, but they make their big call and they try and grow antlers, but you can't really fake antlers.
You got them or you don't.
Either you got them or you don't, and they're big or they're not. And the older you get, the bigger they get, and that doesn't happen otherwise. Now, reputation is one of those things that you can have, but the thing is, you can't do it yourself. Reputation is held by others around you.
Okay.
So to be authentic at, let's say, the country club, like what's the nearest fancy country club to you?
Honestly, it is just down the block, the Oberlin Country Club.
There you go.
The
There
Stones
you
Throw.
go. So to be a real member of the Oberlin Country Club,
Mm-hmm.
right? To be an authentic member,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, of course, wear the right things and drive up in the right car. But most importantly, other people need to know it and hold you in that esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I roll up wearing the right things, driving the right car, but I don't have that reputation and esteem, people know I'm a fake.
Mm-hmm.
So authenticity is often something that's judged by your reputation, that's held by others, the esteem others hold you with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very long. That was a long
Yeah,
journey
yeah.
into, you
That
know,
makes sense.
rattlesnakes and elk and shit like that. But it
Right.
gets us to this point that to be authentic is not something you can just assert. It's something that others have to grant to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another great example from the world of humans might be Eminem trying to be a rapper.
Mm.
He's this white kid from Detroit, and I think he's from the suburbs, not the city.
Mm.
He's clearly not a black guy. He didn't grow up in the right neighborhoods, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to be authentic is, first of all, being true to himself, but also being accepted by the rap community.
Mm.
And so the rap community is very, very keenly judging whether he is who he says he is and whether he has a right to be where he is.
Right.
So authenticity is this thing that it's like a spidey sense that we all have. And when people are inauthentic, you often can sense it,
Mm-hmm.
unless they're good fakers, unless they're really good con men. I hate to say it, but right now, our country is run by a really good con man.
Mm.
And I don't say that just because I think he's a jerk or I have certain political beliefs. There's evidence of this. There's a long history of the cons he has run
Mm-hmm.
and the ways he has fooled people into believing certain things about him.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are tricked, they are conned, and some people are not. And they think, no, he's a fake. He's a fraud. He's not who he says he is. Those gold plated things are not really gold plated, or it's just a veneer. And really, if you scratch under the surface, he's a fake. So that's a good example of how authenticity is a social construct, not something an individual company or person can assert themselves. So
Okay.
this it's a very long-winded way to say the science of authenticity is that authenticity is socially constructed and socially held amongst the community where you're trying to assert your brand or your self,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's as a brand or as a member of a country club or
Mm-hmm.
as a member of the Forbes 50. So,
Right.
are you really that rich or are you faking it?
Right.
And are you really being yourself or are you trying to here's another example. We
Mm-hmm.
always know those people who get into a relationship and they start acting not like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to act too much. They're acting weird or different because they're trying to be something their partner wants them to be.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, you're not being your authentic self.
Right.
And we have that spidey sense. And that's because there's this socially constructed sense of who they are and their
Uh-huh.
reputation.
Right.
So, what is that? Does that
So
sit at all?
yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. And
Does it
in
make
I
sense?
guess we're yeah. And then so where does that leave? It's funny. This is not really to the point of it, but it goes in a way. It's almost like the reverse case of this, where I don't know if you've seen this at all, but there is now sort of like I, when I type for a long time, I feel like I want to shout this from the rooftops now. I have used M dashes quite a bit in my own personal punctuation style. These long dashes,
Okay.
like as part of my punctuation in my own sentences or whatever. It's like, do you use semicolons? I do
Uh-huh.
that too, as it happens. But like M dashes are kind of became my hallmark, especially just in day to day emails at my former job. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but M dashes have been sort of been identified correctly, in large extent, as one of the telltale signs that AI writes with much more than actually human writers write.
Oh my God.
And
That's
so there's now
hilarious.
this instinct for people like me who used them all along to
Uh-huh.
abandon
Oh
what's
shit.
authentically your thing
I
because
use
now,
M dashes.
well, sorry, buddy. I mean,
And
probably some people aren't thinking that you're a fake, but some people will see the first one and they'll like tilt their like calibrated
uh, do you I even know the keyboard shortcuts in multiple software programs to do the M dash.
same.
Which is you're right,
I'm
it's the
sure
dash where you've
that
got the kind of parenthetic phrase, right?
yeah,
Like, Carl Roose dash,
yeah,
the less famous but more handsome brother of New York Times columnist Kevin Roose dash, right? And those dashes are the M dashes, and they're longer, and they're usually spaces around them. I know how to use this properly, and you're right, it's been a hallmark of my writing because I am, as you just say, one of the few people that know how to use them properly, just like you.
right.
So now you and I are being
Dash matter. Yeah.
flagged as
Well,
AI
I
because normal
not
people
by
don't use
citizens,
it?
but by humans who are paying attention to this
Oh my
specific
lord.
thing or saw this thing on LinkedIn or who knows,
Wow.
but like it's become part of the sort of the consensus view that this is a reliable litmus test for at least some like detection of like folk
Oh, geez.
detection of AI writing. So where
Okay,
does that
that's
leave us?
funny.
I don't know because in being more authentic, we're going to be seen as inauthentic, but that's sort of a separate side edge case.
I mean, yes and no, because what you're bringing in is this thing about AI for sure,
Mhm.
but also this thing about the spidey sense of what's real.
Right.
That's it. So going back to authenticity being a social construct that requires others to grant it to you, confer it upon you, as
Hmm.
much as it requires you to be yourself. So it's a two-way street,
Right.
right? You can't just say, I'm being authentic, period. I mean, some people are like, I am who I am. Take me as I am. I ain't here to make friends. And yes, in a way, if that's who you are, then you're being your authentic self.
Hmm.
But if you're trying to assert something to others,
Hmm.
and they're trying to gauge whether that's real or not, that's a dance. That's a social dance. That's a social construct.
Right.
And even the use of M dashes now changes the playing field for you and me.
And not for 100%. If you ask 100 people, maybe only 10 people would be tuned in to that extent and
Correct.
granting
Correct.
it meaning whatsoever. But you never
Yeah.
know.
And authenticity, because it's a social construct and social groups are adaptive and evolving and fluid and they change over time, authenticity is a thing that changes over time. A great example from branding is when, um, oh crap, who was? It's not Perry Ellis, is it? What's the fashion brand that got taken over by hip hop culture?
Oh, geez.
Um,
Not Tommy Hilfiger.
yes, boom,
Or
nailed it. First guess, win, ding, ding, ding. Number one answer on the board.
all right.
Tommy Hilfiger. Hilfiger in the 90s, I think it was, went from being a preppy, upscale fashion brand to suddenly becoming a brand that was known for being part of hip hop culture. And then Hilfiger tried to capitalize on that. And like, they were like, oh, I've been invited to the party. Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm at the party now. And started
Right.
to try and host the parties instead of
Right.
just being kind of a subtle guest at the parties.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was this really interesting cultural social dance about whether they were an authentic member of hip hop culture or not.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. And
You
you've seen
remember that now, I think.
yeah, I mean, I remember hearing that in the cases where, like, the brand that did not want the new association tried to
Yep.
fight it, and that's sort of happened in the same ways with Cristal and things like that. Like, I think I
Yeah.
remember hearing that in the same way, but
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many of these examples of brands that were brought into a culture. Hip hop's a great example of a culture that definitely gloms onto and takes brands like Cadillac, right?
mm,
Cadillac Escalades,
right, right.
Cristal. Um, um, what was another one I just had on the tip of my tongue? Anyway, it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
But oh, Timberlands,
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Timberland boots.
Uh-huh.
And so then what's authenticity for Timberland?
Right,
If they are a brand that has been adopted by a culture,
right.
then how does Timberland still act authentically, but still connect to that culture? So these are great questions. First of all, going back to the science of authenticity, it is a dance between you and your audience,
Mhm,
first and foremost. Secondly, it is all about fraud detection,
mhm,
con detection.
mhm.
And people's spidey senses are always kind of out there saying, is this fake? Is this a con? Is this a fraud?
Right.
I do think, as we've seen through the ages, people are easy to con.
Uh-huh.
It's the, we can all get hoodwinked by Enron. Enron was a fraud,
Oh, sure.
right? Bernie Madoff was a
Mhm,
fraud. I hate to say it, but yes, a lot of the Trump things were
mhm.
cons
Right.
and turned out not to be what they claimed they were.
Mhm.
Uh, but there's a constant dance between the con and the mark about what's authentic and what's not. Now, if you take the true deceivers out, if you're just a company trying to be an authentic brand, trying to be authentically who you are,
Mhm.
it's still a dance, and there's still a level of self-awareness and of performativeness, which which goes into even being authentic. So it is paradoxical.
So can you say that again? I I
If
was
you're
pretty
trying to
sure.
be
Mhm,
Carl, if you are trying to be your authentic self
mhm.
and you do that with any level of self-awareness, it becomes somewhat paradoxical.
Right, okay.
Me, maybe I'm a better example because I'm a little bit more of a public figure. I have more of an established brand. I
Right.
wear this damn orange track jacket all the time. So I am more self-awarely myself, which then becomes a bit of a paradox about, well, am I being authentic or am I doing a shtick?
Well, but as a brand guy, you can get away with it more. I mean, it's sort of like it's
Yeah,
on brand for a
I
brand guy
think
to be like,
so. I think so.
obviously, brand aware.
Yeah, and we see this on the personal level from, and I just talked to another person about this on another show about Steve Jobs, right? He
Mm,
was very authentic, but he always wore the same stuff all the time.
mhm.
So at what point is it a shtick,
Right,
or at what point is it still authentically Steve
right.
versus Oprah, right? Is Oprah authentically herself, or is it all a performance? And in some ways, because her true self is a performer,
Mhm,
it's a bit of a paradox. So brands also struggle with this,
mhm.
and brands will struggle with it more with AI. And people will wonder at first, is this just AI or is it really the brand? And then they'll just go back to the usual, which is this brand being themselves?
Right.
And it won't even, they won't, most people won't even care about the AI element of it. They will
Mhm.
just care about the brand being themselves element of it.
Okay.
And the AI is just another tool, just like Photoshop,
Right.
to make it too slick or really still let people know this is truly the brand.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm taking it to the Photoshop. I'm just realizing. So tell me if this sounds right, and it sort of echoes what you're talking about. So,
Mhm,
in the same way that these days, any modern magazine reader
mhm,
flipping through the countless ads in any given magazine, if they see Exxon's ad, whose artwork is clearly photoshopped and whatever,
sure.
and then they see Coca-Cola's and they see Charmin's or whatever, and they would tend to assume, most modern readers would tend to assume, oh, like nothing was straight out of the artist's quill or like out of a camera, like it all got photoshopped. But
It
that
all
doesn't
gets
make one
photoshopped.
of them less authentic. Like that's just not even, it's almost like the new denominator or whatever. It's like
Right,
it's the equation is just everybody factors that in, or unless
right.
that's really your thing, and like your Dove and you're really, I don't know, even they, I'm sure, Photoshop their ads, but like they're trying to show authentic bodies and real people or whatever. So unless
Yes.
you're trying to walk a really specific, authentic, no frills, not artificially enhanced line, then you're probably just in with everybody else, and we all have to live into it.
Yeah, Dove is a great example. The campaign for real beauty, which you reference, is a long-standing Dove campaign where they showed real beauty as opposed to fake beauty.
Hmm.
And I think before that, there certainly was a sense of, well, this is fake and this is photoshopped and this is airbrushed, and that um, that we knew that and we bristled, but also we wanted it. And there's still so many huge fashion companies that thrive off of manipulated or airbrushed or photoshopped stuff,
Hmm.
and that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And to be, but frankly, to be one of the top couture brands in the world, that's it's part and parcel of it. And your authenticity comes maybe in other ways.
Right.
And Dove played into that or called it out
Hmm.
and said, to us, authenticity means freckles and
Hmm.
wrinkles and age spots. And that's authentic. And we think that that's an authentic beauty as well. But it's a social construct. It's a two partner dance between
Right.
Dove and their audience, right?
There's authentic, right, and then there's authenticity, as you reference. Like I'm just realizing, a fellow AI consultant of mine who posts on LinkedIn had said maybe a couple weeks ago, because it has been very public, I think, in the sort of the in partly as an educational thing and partly as just a transparency
Mhm.
conversation uh, element. It said, like, at the end of most posts, if she herself wrote it, she'll tag on and say, just so you know, if this post wasn't up to the normal standard, like it's because I wrote it myself and like the AI had nothing to do with it. Um, and she
Right.
lately, more recently, she even went a step further and said, listen, people ask me about this sometimes,
Mhm.
but I looked at the metrics on the stuff that I posted something myself in the airport a few days ago, and like you look at the metrics, I know my metrics. People hated it. I took it down.
Right.
It
Right.
did not do as well. People like
Yeah.
my more polished, enhanced thing that I it made it
There you
sound
go.
exactly like I want to sound, and I see every one of them before it goes out. But
Yeah.
authentic or not, like there's people care about what they like, and if it's close to the
Yes.
mark, if they use the tool,
Right.
they'll.
Authenticity is, oh my God, in marketing and branding, it's seen as the golden thing and the most important thing for a brand, and it's not.
Mm,
I think that connecting with your audience in ways that they want,
mhm.
that encourages them to buy your stuff, that's pretty important.
Right.
Sometimes that's about being authentic. Sometimes it's, as you exactly say, it's about being polished,
Mhm.
and it's about being smooth and clean, and not about being authentic. And authenticity doesn't always have to be raw
Yeah.
and rough and unphotoshopped either.
Mhm.
Like people who are refined and take care of themselves and are always clean shaven or always have amazing, immaculate makeup, that's their authentic selves.
Yeah. Good
So,
point. That's a
authen-
really good analogy.
authenticity is one of these. Yeah. Oh, man. It's why we've talked so much about it. It's a big concept in marketing,
Yeah.
and it's often bandied about as if it is the end all be all of being a successful business. And I don't
Mhm.
think the science backs that up. The science, the evidence itself, just the empirical evidence itself. If you measure in the world, authentic brands tend to do as well, sometimes better, and very often more poorly than brands that are more polished, more refined, more designed for their audience. And certainly, any brand manager in the world, they're not doing raw, unpolished shit.
Right.
They are
Good point.
they are
Really good point.
very highly crafted in what they're putting out there,
Right.
even if they think they're putting out their authentic self in a crafted way.
Sure. Just to
So,
be clear, I haven't had any clients come to me and say, "Listen, authenticity is my big thing." If anything, they're plowing on ahead and not really even being all that attentive to what they used to sound like without it and what they sound like now, because
mhm,
it's all got AI all over it and it's full of M dashes and all the rest.
yeah, M dashes. Oh my God, now I have to think about that. Okay, let's wrap it up with a couple not lessons, but at least summaries here. First of all, authenticity is a social construct. It's a two-person dance or 20-person or 2,000-person or 2 million-person dance
Mm-hmm.
between what's real and what's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity is also about just generally this notion of avoiding the con and not
Okay.
being duped.
Right.
And yet, the con, often we like the con. We're okay with that. We're okay with being duped, or we know it's not, quote, authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and we like what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, authenticity is very complex. It's not that your brand just has to be authentic, full stop. And as we said, a lot of the best brands in the world are incredibly well crafted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then authenticity is this interesting balance between being yourself and then being legitimate in the world or community you want to be accepted in.
Right.
So it's complex. It's very
Oh my gosh,
complex.
yeah. Is it ever? And what I'm
It's a
taking
dance.
is that brand science has no more or less light to shed or any more crystal ball than anybody else on exactly where it will land, but having a better understanding of like how authenticity operates and how we have traditionally sort of understood it and adapted to it in different technologies as they come on the scene. I think that gives some good hints as to like where the lines might be and what good guidelines might be or things to keep people's eyes on as I counsel clients. So thank you. That's really helpful.
Great. Great. Yes. I hope that it's helpful in
Totally.
going in and having those conversations so that when people worry about authenticity,
Hmm.
uh, that you can then have some information to say, well, let's talk about what authenticity really means and how it's a dance
Right.
and how it's that dance between who you want to be
Hmm.
and then what works and how you're being portrayed and how you're appearing and how self-conscious you are about being who you want to be.
Right. Yeah. So
Um,
helpful as I knew, and I always know it will be
Great.
proven yet
Well,
again.
I'm so glad you called. This has been so fun.
Oh, so fun. It really has. We don't do it often enough, but here it's so great you have this venue for it.
Yeah. Well, we will have more conversations. You will be back. I'm
Okay.
sure you'll have more questions.
Anytime. I love to. Long time listener. Happy repeat guest as long as
Great. Long time listener, first time caller. Huh? Great. Uh, Enjoy your day. We'll talk
Thanks.
soon.
Take care. Bye.
So listen, brand science works best when it's a team sport. If you want your crew rowing in the same direction, call me to learn more about workshops, trainings, and talks, oh my, for your company. Head to appliedbrandscience.com to learn more. Oh, hey, you're still here? Good. Now that everyone else is gone, I want to let you know you just won a free Science AF sticker. To claim it, send an email to info@appliedbrandscience.com with your name, address, and shoe size, and we will mail it out to you. You're the best. Seriously.